Dude, I can't imagine how you're feel. I'm sick and
Yeah.
I'm not a homegrown Suns fan. I'm like pissed off.
Yeah, I'm more sad than pissed off. I think
Yeah.
from uh from the first quarter, like they didn't look good
Mm-hmm.
like at all, but this and the last game both very winnable. This one way more than
Right.
game. Um it's literally just turnovers and offensive rebounds, and
Yeah.
that became an issue super early.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Milwaukee had 17 offensive rebounds tonight. And Chris Paul, I mean, okay, he misses some
Oh,
shots or whatever, offense, that's going to happen. But the last two games, and obviously it's more under a microscope tonight because they're right there and they're up 9 in the fourth quarter. And he looked totally unrecognizable from what he's been. And you finally get Booker, who, even though, those first couple of games, he puts up big numbers, wasn't as efficient as he, usually, you would usually expect him. Obviously, game 3 was a dud for everyone. You get blown out, whatever, that happens. Milwaukee, their first game back at home, they're all fired up. The role players start making shots, and, that's whatever. But Booker was incredible tonight, 40 plus, 50, over 50% from the field. And it just sucks to have to, I don't want to say waste a game, but it's just like, man, if Chris Paul just plays average tonight, I think that they win. The Phoenix wins pretty comfortably.
This game, it definitely does feel like a wasted Booker game. But I don't know. I went into the series like thinking Suns in 6, but now I'm thinking Suns in 7, just because I don't know. It feels like a series where the home team is going to win every game.
Yeah. No, that's what I was just thinking tonight. I'm like, okay, after tonight, like I said, game 3 makes a lot of sense. And me being a Cavs fan and seeing 4 straight years of the finals, it always kind of made sense, right? Cleveland never had home court advantage. And it almost seemed like no matter what happened in Golden State, the only time they ever won a game there in that first 2 was the first year, or was 1-1 going back to Cleveland in 2015. All the other years they're down 2-0, right? And no matter what happened in those games, game 3, you come home, the crowd's excited, it's like, you're down 2-0, but it's whatever. That's what they're supposed to do. You come home, the role players play a little bit better. I mean, we're looking at, these last couple games on the Milwaukee side, Pat Connaughton in Phoenix looks like he probably should have decided to play baseball. And then all of a sudden he's like, can hit the rim again. He's hitting big shots. He played really hard tonight, and he showed up in a big way. I mean, so, as a Suns fan, this one, I imagine this one hurts. Like, you said, you're sad, and Book goes off and you're scratching your head at Chris Paul, but still, I mean, I think game 5, when he comes around here and it's back out here in the Valley, I think it's going to be, a close game, but the Suns are going to find a way to win. They're going to be up 3-2. And like you said, I think it's going to go back to Milwaukee. And I think we're going to be looking at a game 7. I really do.
Yeah. I hate it. I wanted a sweep so bad.
I know.
But I don't know. I'm not too surprised. Like, game 5 is absolutely a must win, but I've also felt like game 3 and 4 were must wins too.
Yeah.
Game 3, they came out flat, which was frustrating. This one's probably more frustrating because it seems like they had it. Like, it was.
Yeah. Tonight, we keep going back to it. That's one. I don't want to even put that negative energy out there, but that's one. If this series goes to 7, or God forbid Milwaukee wins the series, this is the game that you look back to and you're just like, fuck. I know. That's the one.
That's all that was running through my head in the fourth quarter. I was like, well, I hope to God this does not come back and bite us.
Right. And reverse, the Milwaukee fans. I mean, could you imagine if Booker would hit a game winner and made a
after that foul, after
right.
that it should have been foul. Yeah.
Or went on that Chris Middleton stretch. Middleton scored like the last 8, went on an 8-0 run by himself or whatever to pretty much close the game. I mean, if Booker would have done that on the reverse side, and then it's all hell's breaking loose on social media and all the talk shows tomorrow, it's like Devin Booker blatantly fouls whoever that was, Drew Holiday, whoever it was in the break. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Even Mike Breen,
I couldn't either.
He fouled him. And you're almost like, it's one thing for okay, the ref blew it. That's all his fault. But you're also like, Booker, what are you doing? And you could tell like halfway.
No, Monty, that's why Monty took that timeout. Like, I bet Monty was pissed at him.
Yeah. Or he just had to settle him down. Like, dude, like you could almost tell. I feel like halfway into the air when Booker realized what he was doing was like, oh shit, what am I doing? He had 5 fouls. And then after they didn't call it, I think everyone was just like shell shocked. And then, Milwaukee gets the 2. But I mean, tonight was an interestingly officiated game. It was physical. They let them play on both ends. So I guess that works out. But man, I've never been sold on Milwaukee. I've never been sold on Giannis in the playoffs, but this year, and especially these finals, because I really didn't watch much of Milwaukee. I guess I watched them a little bit against Brooklyn, but I've just been really impressed with what they've been able to do. Because I like the last couple of playoff runs, they're all hyped up. They win all these games. They're the number 1 seed, Giannis MVP, and they just never deliver in the playoffs. It's like they're out in the second round. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
But
I've watched a lot of Milwaukee the last couple of years, and I thought Miami was going to beat them first round. And I remember game 1 of the first round, I think it went to overtime, and Middleton had game winner. Yep. And I was like, damn, maybe they can win this series. But I was still surprised that every single round they won.
Me too.
Until Trae Young got hurt.
Right.
I was like, okay, they're going to win this now.
So just kind of overall, let's take a little break from the tough loss tonight. So overall, what were your sort of expectations and outlook going into this year?
So before Chris Paul trade, like post bubble up until the trade, I thought the Suns were going to be a 6 through 8 seed in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Because they missed it by 1 game last year. Ayton missed a quarter of the season, and they would just get better. I expected Book, Mikal, Cam Johnson, Ayton, those guys to get better this year. And then when they traded Oubre and Rubio for Chris Paul, I jumped to a home court team, top 4 seed.
Right.
And really, like, I think what sold me on that is I watched so much of that Thunder Rockets series from last year.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, the Thunder shouldn't even been in the playoffs.
Exactly. And
that's
just watching him, that was when I first started to like really see that Chris Paul just take over a game, like thing that he's done all year this year. Because in Houston, James Harden would have the ball so much of the game. Right. Clippers and Hornets, like, great player, it just wasn't the same system. And so I really saw that during the playoffs last year and was like, damn, Chris Paul is still really good, because I didn't expect them to make the playoffs. I thought that was going to be his last stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dude's really good. I'm all for that. I'm all for this trade. And I started watching them during the season, thought they were going to be a top 4 seed. And it probably took me, I don't know, 15 or so, no, like 20 or so games, because they won their first couple. I was like, they look really good. And the first game, I think, was against Dallas this year. It was close down the stretch, and Chris Paul just starts taking over. Yeah. And I was like, this is why they got him for fourth quarters.
Right.
Which is why tonight sucks so much.
Right. That's what I mean. That's why you just wouldn't expect him, no matter how the first 3 quarters go, you just expect the fourth quarter comes around, it's close, you're going to be okay, because first off, you don't expect him to throw the ball to the other team, and you just expect him to settle everything down when the crowd gets into it, to find out, when to push the ball, when to not push the ball. You're just expecting him, because he's so great, to make all the right decisions and get the ball to the guys in all of their spots, and you close out that game. So yeah, like you said, that's why tonight is so frustrating, because you've seen him do it so many times and you expect it. And we've seen it 1,000 times, tonight, he's done it way more than times he's come up short. So that's why tonight looks, is just so out of character for him.
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess that's why I'm not too worried. Because like I wasn't worried about Book after his game 3. I expect Chris Paul to play a lot better. I expect the whole team to be better. Like I would be surprised if they lose game 6. I'm not sitting here like all hope is lost for the series.
No.
I really expect them to be more focused, and maybe I hope they're not getting tired. Like it seems like their depth is running thin. Ayton's playing more minutes. Book seems like visibly frustrated more than he's been all playoffs. But I think Monty Williams is the better coach. So I expect him to have them ready.
Yeah. The playoffs, it's so crazy. And I saw it in Cleveland too, just guys that you play, or the way that you play, changes from series to series based on matchups. You look at like last series, like a guy like Campaign could have some really impactful moments. This series, he's, struggling a little bit more, because, look at, the last series, the Clippers, right? It's Patrick Beverley. I'm not too sold on him. I just think he runs around fast and everyone's like, he's tough. Like I don't really like Patrick Beverley that much, but look at the size, Campaign's a smaller guy, and, Chris Paul is too, but he's not Chris Paul. But, look at the size and the length of Milwaukee. So you're getting a little bit less out of Campaign, and that's not his fault. His role is to be a role guy and step in and play defense and, fill in minutes and whatever else. So, you're getting, like you said, the depth is going a little bit thin, and also the matchup is a little bit different. Milwaukee's so big. Yeah. And even when they play Giannis at the 5, which is a lineup that works really well for them, it's still like, you're still like, okay, Giannis is at the 5, but he's still, a 7-footer. It's just so crazy, what they can do with their lineup, a sense of urgency. Cause I was going to ask, if they won tonight, my thought would be you're up 3-1, you're going home to clinch a championship. That would be really tough for a lot of these guys that, isn't there only one player between each team that has
Jay Crowder?
Yeah, Crowder's the only one that's been.
Crowder's the only one.
Oh yeah, shit. I was like, who was Crowder on? But he was on Miami last year. So he's starting the LeBron James Jones run. He's going to go on for the finals, but he's at 2. But so yeah, not even one of your main guys, not even one of the main stars, because if you're talking about the stars of this series, it's, Giannis, Paul, Booker, maybe Middleton. Crowder's a big piece. He's a starter, but, none of your stars, it's like the Cavs in 07. It's like none of these guys, but Eric Snow went to a finals, like big, like who cares? But I was going to say, if the Suns were up 3-1 going home for game 5, that would be a weird game. I feel like that game would have gone, it would have been shit like, you're open and you're just like dropping passes and everyone's like a little jittery. Everyone's moving faster than what they're reacting and thinking, or everyone's, everything would just be a little bit off. So I almost think it works, not to say, it's better to be 2-2 than 3-1, even though we know 3-1 is the dangerous lead in the finals, most dangerous lead in the finals. Shout out to those guys back there. But 2-2 is really going to create a sense of urgency, both from the fans, which I know is crazy, but it is important. I've seen, what crowds can do, and, how especially those role players can feed off of that. I think 2-2, I would just, I don't know why. I just feel like I would feel really great as a Suns fan. The sense of urgency. I think game 5 is going to be an awesome game, and the Suns are going to take care of business. Easy as that.
Yeah, I do too. And what I'm kind of thinking after the game is I hope they got all of these issues that were super noticeable during these two games out of the way during these two games.
Yeah.
There were guys like passing on shots, trying to do way too much tonight. And
Crowder at one
that's
point.
not an issue. Offensive rebounding is the thing that I'm worried about that's going to stay an issue because I just don't know what the fix is for that. But turnovers and hesitation, carelessness on offense, that stuff should be fixed. And even if you give up the offensive rebounds that you give up tonight, you can still win that game. It's just giving them the ball. They shot 20 more times than the Suns, I think, tonight.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. And again, I go back to Pat Connaughton. You know, he's like Tristan Thompson in the 2016 finals. No one can keep him off the boards. He's like knocking down threes. I'm like,
so frustrated.
I'm like, that's just tough. But again, I wasn't surprised because those are the guys that start to find kind of their groove when they're playing at home. Those are those role guys that feed off the crowd, that are hustle guys, that'll make a few shots and that are like, are you fucking kidding me? Like when the games were out here, that wasn't happening. So, you know, that just happens. That's basketball, that's sports. But I think things will start to level out. The Suns will have some of their players step up. I tell you what, now that I'm thinking about it, the most thing I'm upset about tonight is no one's gotten Taco Bell because we haven't had a road team win yet.
I know. It was tight today. The first thing I said when we went into halftime I was like, no free tacos for anyone. Fuck it.
Yeah, we're done. It's over. So the dream's over, folks. That's why you hope that Phoenix wins in 6. You know, not only an NBA championship is great, but also free tacos. So
yeah.
So I would just always hate it because I'm like, oh, Taco Bell. I'm like, the Cavs are finally going to steal one in Golden State this year. We're going to Taco Bell after the game. And it would always be Kevin Durant just throwing daggers in our hearts. It's like free Taco Bell. It's like, I lost my fucking appetite. This is bullshit.
I think this year they're doing it where if the team comes back from halftime, it's free tacos.
Oh, okay.
So it used to be if the road game steals one.
Okay, I haven't been paying attention enough.
Yeah, they show a commercial. It's if the team trailing at halftime comes back.
Oh, it is. Okay, I wasn't even paying attention.
So I think the Suns were down game 3, and the Bucks were down at half game 1 and 2. Right. And today it was 52-52 going into halftime.
Oh my god!
So no one was getting tacos.
They need to be. I need to tune into Late Night Sports Center where Van Pelt does the bad beats.
Bad beats.
if this goes like where teams, are they're either tied or a team's winning at the half and they close it out. I mean, that's gonna be an all timer. It's gonna be an all timer. I think Taco Bell was like enough. Like we'll whore out for anybody, but like road teams it's a lot easier to win on the road in the finals. Apparently, they're gonna have free tacos year after year.
Yeah, I would guess it's easier. I'm interested to see what like the chances are on both of those happening for finals games.
Yeah. This is a basketball fan. A best of 3. These teams, and I'll tell you what, I love being out here and following this. This takes me back. I'm like reminiscing. I feel like, it's almost kind of, I'm not trying to be pathetic, and almost, it's not to the level if I threw on my Letterman's jacket and went back and watched a football game, but like, I'm thinking back, I'm like, man, I miss when this was like, when my team was in this, because it was just so much fun, even no matter, I mean, it was just fun to look forward to having these games. And God, it probably feels like an eternity in between each game when they.
Oh, I hate these 3-day breaks.
Isn't it crazy? Well, why did they take this last one? Like they usually don't do a 3-day break when you're not traveling.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was confused because I was writing down on my calendar when the games were. I'm like Sunday, Wednesday. I'm like, the games are both in Milwaukee. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't get it, but it sucks.
And it's not even that bad of Milwaukee to Phoenix is not nearly what Cleveland to Golden State was. That flight had to suck. And then that first year, that 2015, they didn't do the 3-day travels. So like,
it's only 2.
Yeah. So it was like, they would have played, that game in game 3, right, where Delly went off and he almost died after the game. Yeah. They played in Golden State, like it would have been on a Sunday or whatever. And then the game in Cleveland, game 3 would have been Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's brutal. I'm glad that they went to the longer breaks for travel, but I don't get the sense of hanging around in Milwaukee for an extra day to play a game.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about you this whole year. I tried to send you messages back to back. You are the biggest Suns fan I know. So you are. I'm living vicariously through you through all this.
It's been crazy. The amount of people that just like ask me something about the Suns, and
yes, it's sweet.
Yeah, I love it. I love like my roommates for a point, because I keep having packages come in the mail. It's just Suns clothes, hats, all this shit. And they point out like probably like a good 60% of my closet right now is just random Sun shit.
Yeah.
But no, it's been an awesome year. I think the point in the year where I realized that this team could make the finals was they had this 6 or 8 game East Coast stretch.
Yes.
Where they played like Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Boston, New York.
Just a gauntlet.
Yeah, they played just every good East Coast team. Philly was on there.
Yep.
And I think they went 6-2 during those 8 games. And I was like, wow, this team is good. And that's when I called and got my whole like playoff ticket plan in advance. And I was just ready to go. I was like, and also at the same time, that was when the Lakers started dropping.
Yes.
So I was like, there's a good chance that Suns might have to play the Lakers in the first round. And I don't want to have to buy those tickets off StubHub.
Yeah.
No, so I'm just going to get my stuff right now.
Yeah. So how many games have you been to, playoff games?
I've been to 8. And awesome. Game five is going to be number 9.
Wow. That's exciting. So what's your record at the game?
8-0. It's 8-0.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen a loss yet. I was at the closeout game in Denver. This is the first series I haven't been to a game on the road yet.
Right. That's a big travel for that.
Oh yeah, and it's just crazy expensive for this one.
Yeah.
Like Clippers tickets were way cheaper than the Lakers ones.
Oh, for sure.
And Denver, it was a closeout game. I went to game 4, and those things were just crazy cheap right before the game.
Right.
Lakers ones were super expensive, but not as expensive as Phoenix if I would have had to buy my tickets like right before the game.
I'm excited. I want to see the city burn to the ground. I want to see it go nuts.
I wanted a closeout game 5 so bad.
But I'm telling you, man, that game would have been weird. Everyone would have been. I can just picture it. I was at. Now this is way different. It was a second round game. The Cavs played the Nets in 2007 when they went to the finals for the first time. I was at game. It would have been game 5. Game 5. They're up 3-1. And they're at home. It's a second round series. It's Jay Kidd, RJ, Vince Carter, and the Cavs hadn't been to the Eastern Conference Finals in a long, long time. Obviously, way bigger stakes in the finals for the Suns, but still, that game was just weird. They were a little bit antsy, kind of fumbling around with the ball. Everything just seemed a little bit off. I'm telling you, 3-1 with a bunch of guys that haven't been, there before. Obviously, you probably count on Chris Paul, but I mean, it would have been a little that would have been a little interesting, or maybe they just would have went out and blew them out. You never know. But I'm telling you what, I can just feel it. The sense of urgency, 2-2. Game 5 is going to be electric. This is going to be an awesome game. It really is. It's going to be back and forth both sides. Suns are going to pull away, and it's going to set up for a legendary game 6. I can see it. I'm feeling it.
It's so important that they're heading back home now.
Yep.
Just they need a game where their stars don't get in early foul trouble.
Yeah.
Book tonight was rough. But it was more manageable that it wasn't Ayton. Ayton's the most important one to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because even today, some of the fouls he has on Ayton, on Giannis, I'm just like, I don't know how else to guard him. There's one where he had his hands out just standing there, bumps into him, but
Right. Well,
what are you
that's
supposed to do? And
that's why it's so easier for your guards and wings to play with foul trouble. With Ayton, what's he going to do? Because he could just stand there and take shots and they could still call fouls on him because, and it's not necessarily Ayton's fault. And I really don't go at the refs too much because, Giannis is kind of like that LeBron Shaq kind of guy. It's like, how are we supposed to officiate him?
yeah,
That's really tough. That is not easy to do. And that sucks. But that's just kind of the unfair reality that Ayton's in. And you're exactly right. It's a lot tougher for those big guys. And it does a lot more hurt to your team when your big guy is in foul trouble. He's the one guy that he cannot pick up too early fouls.
yeah. And he did a great job today. It just wasn't enough. And it's weird because besides Chris Paul, like everyone played well.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't one. Jay Crowder had some turnovers, and then Chris Paul had some turnovers, but he also hit some important shots.
Right.
Like it wasn't like all terrible by Chris Paul. It's just his turnovers were really uncharacteristic and
it's been in the last two games. I mean, didn't he
had 15 in the last two?
Yeah, and wasn't it only like what they say on the telecast tonight? It was like 10 in all of like the last series or something crazy, and then he's like totally so you're right. That's just so out of the ordinary. And also, I love Cam Johnson. I don't think I've ever seen him with a shot.
He's awesome.
He makes everything.
Cam Johnson looks so good these last two games, and it makes me so excited for next year.
Yeah.
Because like I've been wondering about how much better Ayton and Bridges are going to get because they've gone better year after year.
Right.
Book obviously, but Cam Johnson, like if he can start driving more like Mikal Bridges does, he's going to be amazing.
Well, I tell you what, one of my favorite plays that really stuck out tonight with Cam Johnson was, the ball was up top. I don't know if it was Crowder or Paul that found him, but he just moves so well without the ball.
Yeah.
And he's constantly moving. The shot clock is starting to run down. He's not panicking. He moves without the ball. He finds an open spot. He makes sure Paul or whoever it was could see him, and he just gets the ball in a little soft spot. Milwaukee was either in a zone or they were trapping and kind of scrambling on the back end. And he just kind of found the open area and just knocked down like a 12-foot jump shot, like just very smooth, under control. I'm just like, man, that's just good. It was just pretty. It was just great to watch.
It was awesome. That's just all he does. I hate to remind you of this, but were you watching the Suns Cavs game this year?
Okay.
That went to overtime?
Yes, the one in Phoenix, right?
I think it was in Cleveland. It was
I remember watching it, but I remember it was
and the Cavs like stormed back.
Yeah.
I think maybe Garland didn't play. I know like someone important on the Cavs wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And like they stormed back, and then Cam Johnson just took over in overtime.
Oh yeah, because I'm pretty sure the Cavs, they got like shut out in over. It was
like 11-0 in overtime.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of bad beats, so I remember this. Cleveland was like, so they lost by what, 11? You said? Did they lose by 11 points? So the Cavs were, let's say the line was like 9.5 or 10.5. So you're thinking they're going to overtime. They're going to cover, right? And they don't cover because they get blown out. They get shut out and blown out.
Yeah.
In overtime. I remember that, just like, wow, that was rough. I honestly think it was worse. I'm going to look up the score. I swear they lost by at least 15. It was bad.
It might have been.
It was like a crazy overtime. I remember this now, just seeing Cam Johnson was literally like, he went Steph Curry. It was like T-Mac against the Spurs. Yeah. He just was making everything. I'm going to look this up. Cavs, Suns. Let's see. Spread. I think it comes right up. So Suns. No, that's May 4th. Come on, people. I need to find this or just hire a producer. I really want to find this. Yeah, they lost by 16. The Suns scored 15 straight points and finished overtime with a 20-4 scoring advantage, and they beat the Cavs by 16.
Yeah, wow.
And it was probably like 15-0, and they made a couple layups at the end of the game. Yeah, it was bad. I remember that. That's all coming back to me now. Hey, I don't care because that loss counted as a win in the draft lottery a few weeks ago, so that's fine.
that's a good thing about the Suns run this year is it feels really sustainable.
Yeah.
Going forward, it doesn't feel like the Kawhi Raptors year with
Right.
like, well, it doesn't feel like a one and done. Like I would be shocked if he's not back next year. And all the pieces around Chris Paul are just going to get better.
Right.
It's still going to be hard. The West is going to be better. Guys are going to be healthier.
That's going to be the biggest thing. Cause right. The Suns, not taking anything away from them, but they were, about the fourth best team all year in the West. And then they really took advantage, and all credit to them because they were healthy and they won games while other teams were not. And that's just the reality of it. And they're in the finals and they got a chance to win it all, and all credit to them. Not you can't, say injuries, blah, blah, blah. No, because the Suns are the ones that are healthy. They've dealt with their own stuff and they're here. But like you said, how are they going to look? How would they look in a playoff series against a healthy Lakers team and things like that? And I'm sure the Lakers, they're hoping to be better. They're obviously hoping LeBron and AD are healthy. But honestly, I just look back because I look at all those Cavs teams where they just surrounded LeBron with shooting, and they had, obviously Kyrie and Kevin Love. But the Lakers don't have people that make shots.
No, at all.
Like they don't have shooters, not one.
No,
which is so weird. So, that'll be a big thing for the Suns going forward. How are they going to look when, all these other teams are healthy? That obviously series against the Clippers would be much tougher with Kawhi. That's not the reality this year. But if we're looking going forward, those are the questions you're going to have to ask. And we'll see what the Clippers even look like. They just seem like, you never know what Kawhi is going to do. He's
just got surgery like yesterday.
Yeah, he's less predictable almost than LeBron now.
Yeah.
You really just can't hear or know anything. So it's going to be crazy. The NBA is just wild. That's what I like about it. Keeps me in.
It's great. I wish I put money on the Suns at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Pretty good odds, like right before the Chris Paul trade.
Yeah.
I had a guy who put money on the Cavs. He felt LeBron was going to come back, put it on in 2015, 14, 15.
Wow.
Obviously they end up coming up short, but maybe he even, I bet, he was like he's a professional gambler, plays poker and stuff. He probably even along the way, like hedged his bet and like sold some stuff off. So he probably made his money back or made a little bit. But if that would have hit, because, before LeBron, it's Kyrie and Anthony Bennett and Tristan Thompson, who's still shooting left-handed. And it just would have been, I can't imagine what the odds were. I can't even believe you could buy that ticket. That's crazy. But hey, it's going to be fun. Okay, before we wrap up, official prediction for how the rest of this series is going to go.
I'm guessing Suns in 7. No.
Suns in 7.
Yeah.
Home team's going to win it all. And game 7, the Suns will be down by a few points at halftime. They will hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy, and I'm going straight to the Rural and Apache Taco Bell. I'm
going to walk there just with nobody, just revel it all in.
Just take it all in. I can't wait. Awesome. If it goes to game 7, you going to be there? Do you have that?
Yeah. No, yeah. I have my tickets, and people don't believe me when I tell them because, like, I'll show them on StubHub, like, what my tickets are going for right now. And it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm going regardless. Incredible. The next 2, I went to game 1 and I sold game 2, which paid for the whole playoffs, basically. And then
there you go.
Game 5 and 7, it's just either of those could be the last game of the year. So last game here. So I'm going to go to both.
I love it. Well, bring Isaac. Great to talk to you. Great to see you, man. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm so happy for your son.
Miss you.
Yeah, miss you too, man. We'll catch up. But hey, bring it home. Make it happen. I'm behind the Suns. They're my adopted team since I've been out here. So my adopted second team. Yeah. Make no mistake, I'm still rocking with the Cavs, but I'm pulling hard for the Suns here. So bring it home. Bring it home for Phoenix.
Will do.